Hello everyone, I am Niilo Tarnanen from the KeyKulture podcast, and I'm co-hosting this show with Matei Gheorghiu. Good day, Matei.
Hi.
So, the topic of today is how to make a contemporary music festival happen despite of the COVID-19 pandemic. And as our guest, we have Minnakaisa Kuivalainen, the Executive Director of the Tampere Music Festivals. Hello and welcome, Minnakaisa.
Thank you, and hello to everybody.
So nice that you're here with us. So, Tampere Biennale is one of the most important contemporary music festivals in Finland, and it's one of the three music festivals organized by Tampere City, which could be described as the hub number 2 in Finnish cultural life in general. But about 1 year ago, when Tampere Biennale was about to begin in just a couple of weeks, the COVID-19 pandemic hit hard. So, Minnakaisa, what was your first reaction when you realized that the lockdown is going to change the plans dramatically and with so short a notice? What was the first thing you started doing in order to make the festival happen despite everything?
Well, I slept one night and wanted to think, reflect what to do. I remember it was Friday, and on Saturday morning when I woke up, I had a plan, and I made it through and thought it, and presented it to Jenna Vainio, our artistic director of the festival, and we discussed about that, and we started the new plans, making the 1 week festival or 5 days festival to make it radio festival, and then also to make live concerts in August with UNM festival with young composers, Nordic Composers Festival in August.
So you cannot split the original plan in two. So some of the concerts you made in radio and those that you wanted to have live, you thought that it would become possible to have them in August.
And also some of the events we wanted to organize as could say pre-event or another concerts and so on. But anyway, we wanted to organize as much as possible the concerts, also for the musicians' sake, that they have salary from somewhere. And we wanted to make everything for free this time, because as a city organization, I felt that we have a responsibility to organize something during this very difficult time, and to have musicians opportunity to have their bread, could say, and so on.
Yes, were you able to make everything happen in the end? Like all the concerts happened, or not?
I have not counted the exact percentage, but could say roughly 95%. We have one left. It's Camus Ensemble, what we are going to have in next September in Helsinki. And at the moment, we still have Alma Opera's live streamed performance available until 8th of April. And this is this spring's thing. And we called this new version of Tampere Biennale 2.0, or how do you call it in English? And this year, like 2.1. So it's new versions of the original program, which was designed by Jenna Vainio.
So, like, what was the normal festival? What would it been like? Let's say the pandemic didn't happen. There was for sure a long process of organizing a festival like this.
Well, normally we have that 5-day festival, and containing concerts and mainly concerts, club evenings, and some exhibitions and so on. And well, most of the work had been done just 2 weeks before of the event. So we have to reschedule and also replan the program for the radio festival because naturally when the lockdown hit very hard, so it was very difficult to find musicians who were able to play and to have those recordings with Finnish broadcasting companies Yle's stuff. So it was a bit challenging, I have to say.
You had people coming from abroad who couldn't come anymore.
No, absolutely. That was impossible. And also our festival guests coming from abroad, naturally, everything had to cancel. But the main point was to organize something and to have concerts. And with Radio Festival, the new thing, what we could do, which normally has not been done, was to present a radio feature or this new radio art, what normally is not done during the festival days.
What was the reception of the audience? Did they find the live streamed or the radio concerts as well as they would have normally found the live festival? Or
well,
do you have any statistics of that?
Yeah, the statistics were quite good, I have to say, with the radio program, which was available during 30 days in Yle Arena. So I was very pleased for the figures, how audience had found them. And in August, it was pretty good, I have to say. Not so full concert halls than normally can be, but we were extremely lucky to have a possibility to have those concerts in August. And
Yes.
and also Lauri Porras concert as a pre-event or kick-off concert for Tampere Jazz Happening. It was possible to be done, and then this live stream with Alma Opera. It was possible to be done, even though the crew or the staff on the stage was quite numerous, and so on. So we have been lucky, I find. Anyway.
That's nice to hear. So maybe we need to also tell to the audience that August 2020, or at least beginning of that, the cases of COVID-19 was very low. So that time it was practically possible to have concerts in an almost normal way for a while before the second wave came. How about the arrangements in August, actually? What kind of safety measures did you have then? And did it cause a lot of trouble compared to what it would have been normally?
Well, I find that it was very good school for our staff to learn about the safety regulations, what to be done, and we found very good instructions by Finnish theaters. They had made together with symphony orchestras and everybody as a team national instructions, and we just used them to inform our musicians, to inform our audience, to inform our staff. For everybody, we made very clear regulations. And I found that it was kind of practicing in small scale for the staff, because in that time in August, it was quite limited amount of audience, which was possible to arrive and so on. And we were anyway going to Tampere Jazz Happening, which was going to be in November in the bigger scale. And anyway, we were sure that we need to use some kind of safety regulations in there too. So in August, it wasn't a problem. We just need to use to have masks. And in that time in August, it wasn't obvious that people would use masks in Finland. If you remember, it was very, very new thing for everybody, even for concert goers to have a mask. Now everybody have used to have their masks in shops, but I remember that it was for me personally first time 4 or 5 days to use everyday mask.
I totally remember being the odd guy when I started using mask in maybe June, and now I may be again the odd guy because I have been nowhere, so I don't anymore have that kind of everyday routine of having the mask. So whenever I really go anywhere, I what? Okay, I need to do this again.
In that sense, though, like I think Finland has been quite different. In Kankaanpää, I don't think I ever wore a mask until September, October, I think. And I think I was in Helsinki in August, and I remember I went to the metro. I tried to hide myself very well so that I don't, interact with anybody. But I saw that people were just, it didn't matter. Like people were just staying with each other, no mask, nobody had mask. So I think the mask idea came later.
And I find in August time, I was quite proud, our staff and also our audience, how we were ready to give also the masks for everybody in the audience and so on, that we want to be as safe as possible, of course, for everybody. And when we had the festival in the beginning of November with Tampere Just Happening, so we were ready. We had thought already all the details, and it wasn't so complicated to organize anymore.
I would like to ask actually about the details. So could you describe the audience the variety of problems you needed to face in times of the pandemic? I mean, the safety measures, of course, but how about logistics? Did it change? Was there something about the contracts with the performers, or something artistic factors that were different compared to the normal times?
Well, quite many probably, but the biggest thing was that have to say with Jazz Happening that we demanded for the Finnish artists. We had only Finnish artists that year, which was very historical in Tampere Jazz Happening. We demanded for the musicians, some of them who had been touring in Baltic countries, that there have to be safety 72 hours in Finland before they can come to the festival arena. And that's why they stopped their concerts in Baltic countries. They know it in good time in advance, but anyway, they choose to come to Tampere, and that was very strict from our side. And we also paid those tests for musicians to have them. And probably it was the biggest change, I have to say, with that kind of production thing. What to remember, if I speak now about Tampere Jazz Happening, what was completely different than in Biennale. Biennale was a smaller scale thing and small events with small amount of audience. But with Jazz Happening in the time in the beginning of November, the regulations with amount of audience changed like 1 week or 2 weeks before. But anyway, we had to reschedule the things very quickly. We had rescheduled a new, but all the time, this Corona time has been in motion all the time with production wise. So we had to change some schedules with night concerts because the latest, all the events had to finish, was it like at 11 o'clock? Or restaurants and everything had to be shut down at 11. So the last concerts finished, was it like at 10? I've already forgotten. But anyway, it was the big thing to reschedule and make those bands to play in different way and different places. But yes, with safety regulations, we had to be very strict and inform everybody that if you will get symptoms of flu, you have to tell us and you have to go to test immediately and so on.
How did this affect your work and let's say the staff's work? Because I mean, this festival has the same staff more or less for 2 editions, right? So it's not like after the festival is over, let's say it was supposed to happen in what is it, March, April? When is it?
April. Biennale was supposed to be in the beginning of April.
Yeah. So it's not like after the festival ends, you all go home and chill. I mean, you keep on planning the next festival and so on. So you would still have work to do anyway, now you didn't have the festival, but you probably had to work 10 times more, right?
Well, we had the festivals. Actually, we organized 2 festivals last year, I think. And we have 4 permanent workers in our festival office of Tampere Music Festivals, and then we have staff who are working only for festival days, and then we have always voluntary workers, depending of the festival how much. In Biennale only few, but in Just Happening already over 100 persons, and in Vocal Music Festival we have like 110 or 120. Wow. There are many choir singers involved in that time, so it depends. So many of our staff, volunteer workers, are going away, but what I'm very, very happy of, that many of them come back next year or for the next festival. So we have a kind of feeling of teams and their identity, and proud of their teamwork and how they are creating themselves their job, even though if they are even as a volunteer worker.
Now, when all of the 3 festivals got mentioned that you're responsible of, could you tell a bit of the profiles of these 3 festivals? You already mentioned that Tampere Biennale, which is the contemporary music festival, is perhaps the smallest in scale of these festivals. But how about otherwise?
Yes, with Tampere Biennale, we have concentrating on Finnish contemporary classical music since the beginning, when we started here in Tampere by the city of Tampere, and focusing on Finnish composers' work. But naturally, we have always invited international guests and artists in a small scale to Biennale. And artistic director during my time has been like for 4 years period, making 2 festivals each. And with the Tampere Just Happening, it's very international. It's every year, and it's as I mentioned in November. Artistic director is Juha-Matti Kauppinen, who is working as a producer in our organization, and he has done the programmation since 2004, perhaps, if I remember right. And then it's focused on modern jazz and improvised music during 4 days. This year we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Just Happening. And Tampere Vocal Music Festival, which is every 2nd year with Biennale. So this year is our Vocal Music Festival year, and the whole springtime I'm working with choir music and vocal ensembles music. And you can imagine what it has been like during this Corona time.
Nowadays, when singing in crowds is basically forbidden, so what will it be then? It's an interesting question.
Yes, it has been very, very interesting, and we just announced that we are, or published that we are going to have a 100% online festival with Tampere Vocal Festival beginning of 9th of June with 5 days.
Wow.
And so with the artistic director is changing for every festival with Vocal Music Festival, and it's Irish composer Michael McLean who is doing the programmation, and I have to say he's really exactly the person, a very good person to make this kind of online programming, because he has been editing and directing so much of music videos and concert programs with his ensembles, Manam and Anuna. So, and very international job all the time, what he has been done past 20 years. So it has been very, very exciting work, you can imagine. And everything is rescheduling all the time.
Are you actually very dependent of videos that are kind of just put together of various recordings of the choir members just doing in their own homes because of the times, or how does it happen?
We are planning to have one virtual choir, but most of the programs will be, some of them will be recorded now at the moment, a few of them, and some of them are collections from recordings which have been done previously, but not shown publicly. And some of them probably have even shown, but this is the bigger scale thing, and so on. So this is kind of, and then we are creating new things all the time also, and there's a new composition coming on, and so on. So it's very, very have to say creation all the time, every day.
Yeah, could I ask about now, let's say, a bit the budget things? Can you explain us a bit? So this is a more complex issue. So can you explain us a bit how the budget is done for Tampere Biennale, for example, and that despite COVID? And then how did it affect the budget, the pandemic?
If I speak generally of our 3 festivals altogether, 60% of our income will come by the city organization, because we are part of the city. And that is very rare. Normally, thinking of Finland festivals and the figures which are telling that it's normally 50%. And with rock festivals, it's like 90% or more when they are their own income. So we are having by the city public money 60%, and from a ministry, or actually nowadays it's Taike in Finnish, which is giving the public money and so on. And with ticket sales, the percentage of ticket sales is the smallest in Biennale. Our 3 festivals. It's less than 10. And that's why we could do this kind of free concerts thing last year with radio programming and live concerts. We just needed to diminish the production costs, so this ticket sales income doesn't disturb.
I was already thinking when you mentioned it before, this idea of having all the events free. I can see kind of 2 sides in that. I mean, of course, it's more easy for people to maybe come to events if they're free. But then on the other hand, I can't help thinking also whether it kind of gives a signal that everything also kind of should be free, and that you kind of...
Yes, normally we don't offer everything for free, that's for sure. Naturally, something have to be in normal year. There's something have to be that there will be things that audience will find themselves to taste of the music, could say. But in principle, there have to be ticket sales, and you are buying some ticket. But during this Corona time, when people have been very, very anxious and not even, they on August, I think that audience was afraid to go to concert. So that was the main reason to, make it the decision easier to go to concerts if they wanted to, because economically it wasn't so necessary to be done. The most important thing I thought myself that we have to do those concerts for the musicians' sake, for the art's sake, for the composers, for the society, that there's going on something, content for the life, not only thinking of COVID and thinking of yourself and watching your kitchen doors and kitchen walls all the time. This year or last year, these have been exceptional, and that's why this is a very new thing which I don't want to have forever. And the Vocal Music Festival, we have also free entrance these concerts, but with just happening when we had streamed concerts, so then we had ticket sales. And also on demand time after the festival, we had like 1 week. It was possible to listen to concerts by ticket stream, so you had to buy a ticket.
And also the Alma opera was kind of originally part of Tampere Biennale, had a stream that people needed to pay ticket sales in
like theater tickets.
In like February.
Like theater tickets at the moment, if you want to go to see theater performances, so you have to buy some.
Yeah, I'm actually interested to ask a bit about that. Was it hard to find, let's say, the solutions how to make the ticket sales happen and give the rights to watch the stream to only those who have paid or so?
Well, last summer, I think that during last summer, our main ticket sale organizations founded their new ways of streaming. And technically, I thought that we had like 3 options. For example, when I was thinking of just happening, what to do with streaming and ticket sales, and it was very natural to choose as a ticket sales partner Ticketti, who had been many years, and because they had the Ticketti stream service in the beginning, say, so we took that because they had already experiences with it. And then this Lippupiste ticket sales company had the keikalla.fi, and together with the Finnish Musicians Union, it was one option, and that's why we used that with Alma, because Lippupiste has been the partner of MD Dance Theatre. And then G Live Lab, Tampere and Helsinki, they have their own system. It's good to know, with streaming and their own ticket sales system. So it was one option to think about.
So you used all 3?
No, with Just Happening, we used only ticket and ticket stream. And with Alma, only Lippupiste and keikalla.fi.
I was wondering about, because you said that, okay, you had to pretty much drop this 10%, which was coming from the ticket sales. But the budget otherwise, like I can imagine that maybe you made some, let's say, cuts because you didn't have to invite people from abroad to come here anymore or pay for their traveling or so on. But at the same time, you probably had to invest in other things, like provide all this equipment to record and stream and so on.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Did that change somehow, like the budget? Did you have to like reapply for money or like reorganize it, or how?
Well, Music Finland was our partner with streaming in Tampere Just Happening, because we invited a lot, very much international guests. We have very good relations with our network partners, with European Jazz Network, and also many of journalists and so on who are normally visiting live at the festival. But we wanted to give that opportunity to listen high quality Finnish jazz, because we had marvelous artists, and it was pity that if we would have only handful of people listening this great concerts with Finnish artists. So by streaming, we could present and show Finnish music abroad. And that's why Music Finland was our partner with that process. And it was very nice, and it helped a lot. But naturally, when normally we have artists coming from like 13 to 15 countries, and now only from Finland. So of course we had less production costs, and that's why it gave more opportunity technique-wise.
I'm sorry, Matei, to cut your wonderful budget question all the time, but since Minnakaisa, you mentioned again the idea of only using Finnish artists. I read that at least in connection to Tampere Biennale, if I understood it correctly, it had the idea of locality, and also connected to kind of ecological thinking, that you don't need to bring people from afar for only short periods.
Yeah,
we were but you could try to make use of the resources that you have locally. I think this is a beautiful idea. Well, of course, now we are in times of Corona, where kind of you're obliged to do this. But how would you say? How do you see the let's say the balance of locality and internationality? What would we do in the future when it again becomes possible to invite people from abroad? Would it be better to maybe invite somebody, but for a bit longer time, so that the interaction with the local artists is perhaps more deeper because of the longer time of residency? Or how should we approach this question of not losing the internationality despite of wanting to spend less money and less effort to intercontinental flights and so on?
Well, at the moment with jazz scene, for example, it's very, very active, the discussion or at the moment with environmental aspects with touring, for example, and because artists are traveling.
Why is that with jazz necessarily?
With jazz, it's very, very strongly at the moment with my colleagues it's going on, and also the role of concert organizers, role of management, and whoever is promoting the artists.
No, but why are jazz more ecological than contemporary
well,
music?
I believe because it's they are traveling so much all the time, and bands are joined with the musicians who are coming from different countries and so on. But if we are thinking of, for example, conductors, symphony orchestra conductors, or soloists, and so on, so naturally, I don't know how much, for example, at the moment, different managements or promoters are paying what is called for flying costs. Are they paying any extra? And due to carbon footprint or whatever. And this is the things which are very important things to consider more and more, and everybody are feeling more their responsibility, I think. And I believe that that's why Jenna Vainio had chose this nature and ecological point of view as a theme already. And that's why we didn't have any international arts coming on at all in the first plan of Tampere Biennale last year. But anyway, personally, I feel also very, very important that we are not alone always as a nation and as a culture, as Finnish. And we are physically a little bit isolated, how to say. And during this year, it has been we are saved by that a bit, I think. But anyway, I feel in art field, it's it's very, very important that we are interested of each other's, we know what is going on, and we are in interaction with different nations and different cultures.
I would just like to ask, did this combination of let's say internationality, but then on the other hand, the ecology as a topic, make it natural for you to have collaboration when reorganizing Tampere Biennale 2.0 to get partially together with the UNM, the Ung Nordisk Musik, the Young Nordic Composers Festivals, because they had already this ecology theme also in their 2020 edition, and then of course to that festival it's very natural that some international aspect is there because of the music being equally of 5 different Nordic countries.
We had already planned the cooperation with UNM during Tampere Biennale, that they wanted to present their general program during our festival days. But due to COVID, our cooperation got even deeper. And with Lauri Supponen, I called nearly every day and many times a day for some period of time, how to say. So it was very, very nice. And I have to remind Lauri that I want to offer you that dinner, what I promised you, but we have not seen each other since August, thanks to COVID.
Well, now this is going online, so everybody, the whole world will know that you have to see Lauri Supponen for dinner. So
yes.
it cannot be taken back anymore.
It's promised.
Yes. And by the way, so that everybody knows, Lauri Supponen was the chairman of the Finnish organization, so that everybody understands.
The main organizer. And he also happens to be a good friend of mine who I haven't seen for really many months. So now even I am willing to have a lunch with him as soon as it's possible for the pandemic.
I just wanted to remind how crazy our life is at the moment, that since August, we have not had any opportunity to see each other and have a dinner or have a lunch.
Yeah.
Even if you live in the same country.
Even in the same country and in different cities.
I was wondering during all these explanations, okay, so you had to change the plans for this for last year and this year, but at least Tampere Biennale is supposed to happen again next year, and the jazz festival
I have a program plan already. I'm sure that you'd like to see it.
Yeah, but no, that's not what I mean. But like, we don't actually know. Maybe the vaccination will be over by July. I don't think, but some people say that, or maybe it's over by the end of this year, and then next year everybody will be on the streets dancing. So how do you plan in advance something in 2 years, thinking like, oh, do we take into consideration what's happening now with the pandemic, or do we take in consideration what might be happening next year when there is no pandemic, maybe?
Well, after this past year's experience, have to say that you always have to have plans A, B, C, D, and E, but A, B, C at least, because everything is changing all the time. But the main thing I think is to do that plan A, and after react for the regulations what are going on, and the regulations are changing anyway, even in few days time. So I have to be ready for that. And I have to say that why we are organizing online events, why our organization is doing festivals, is that because our salary is paid by the city. So it gives that economical background that I feel that that's why we have that. We are obliged to make content in culture field and to have new experiences, possibility to listen to new music, because otherwise we get salary and we wouldn't done anything, and that's crazy. And the cultural life at the moment all around the world is in big crisis economically, because there isn't any income from ticket sales, because there isn't any income from various parts. So this economically it will be very, very challenging for many organizations, festival organizations, venues, to survive even. And that's why it's very important how governments are reacting and how governments are supporting different kind of musicians as private persons, or artists as private persons, thinking of the companies, culture companies, how they are supported, or thinking of the festivals. Like in Finland, most of the festivals with culture sector are associations, small, very small associations, and the ticket sales is very highly important for them, and they need to have supporting. Otherwise, if there won't be this kind of public money involved, there are much less culture after this pandemic era.
Indeed. And this is also why I was so persistent about asking the for free policy, because of course it's something that is possible for a big organization that has a lot of public funding, but as soon as you enter to the world of small associations that, for example, me and Matei have a lot of experience, becomes increasingly difficult, if not straightforwardly impossible, to plan anything or organize anything if you don't have income from the audience also. And this year, when everything has almost entirely been just on the internet, where there are not these structures where you would just buy a ticket and go to a concert, but we are just trying to find the new ways of how to pay for things so that the artists can really live on that. So I'm concerned in this how the structure will be changed because of this year.
And absolutely, even though in Nordic countries public money is very well involved normally, and that there have been very good actions during past year, and Nordic countries the situation is much better than in Southern Europe. But anyway, I find that in Finland this discussion have to go on, and I appreciate a lot of the work, for example, of Kulture. And in Finland, what has been very special and important, how different organizations and everybody have found each other and started to work together, like founding of Tapahtumateollisuus Association, how workers who are working for the events, not only with music and culture, but all the other events as well, with sports, church, everybody, they are making association together and making the discussion going on with the government. And this has been very special comparing to other countries, I found. Very easily people started in a crisis to fight and battle with each other, or crying alone in a corner, could say. But in Finland, I think I'm very proud of that, how different organizations, forum artists now, and everybody speaking aloud and connecting forces together.
Yeah, that's very important. And it's actually nice to hear that from your mouth also, because you represent a really big organization, and you probably know a lot of stuff that is kind of hidden behind the curtains for just ordinary people on the field who are working as musicians, but don't really know what is happening on, let's say, on the big picture.
But thanks to social media, I have to say that if you are you have more opportunities nowadays to see the discussions and be involved and join. And the musicians also, for example, they have been very active, and I like it a lot. That this is very, very hard time now. Internationally, people are speaking more aloud of that, and it's important, because anyway, for everybody of us who are alone in our kitchens day by day and trying to find a content for the everyday life. So I find it important issue to talk about aloud, that you are not feeling yourself, that your feelings are odd, that it's a symptom of this whole time with Corona. And that's why I find that we need to get content, new experiences also, even though the life is odd and we are very, very alone, that what kind of content we can serve with that.
I would like to actually ask now, when you mentioned the everyday life, if there is such a thing as an ordinary workday or ordinary working week for an executive director of 3 music festivals. You already mentioned that there's a lot of negotiations with different collaboration partners, but what else? With whom do you work with, and what kind of questions are you dealing with? Can you say anything general, or is it always depending on what time of the year are you going?
For me, it's very much with the calendar year, what time is focusing on. Now it's springtime. It's an unpaired year, so it means that this springtime I'm concentrating very much to vocal music festival. It's proclamation with artistic director. At the moment, normally we would have been already published the program in February. But now everything is rescheduling, and it's totally new. But at the time, I'm concentrating on vocal music festival. With Biennale, we have discussions going on. We start always with new works, what we are ordering, and the contracts with those. And symphony orchestra program is already done. We have started with that early on already. And those are the main points, and international guests, artists, if they are involved. And then the general programming and artist negotiations, and our producers start their work as well. At the moment, we are working a lot with PR manager and planning how we are publishing and what kind of actions will be done during the months and during the weeks. With just happening, main responsibility is international artists and media. And at the moment, it's time to contact, for example, embassies and make negotiations, and be optimistic about that. That next November we will have international artists and international guests coming on, professionals, to see our culture here in Finland.
It would be a good point to remind our audience that one of our purposes for this season is to invite people who are also working in the backstage of music. So not just music makers, but also music producers, or for example, festival directors. So it would be also interesting to know what their work is and how they deal with the everyday life of working in the music field. So would you say that you have a, let's say, a normal schedule? We had, for example, orchestra intendant a few weeks ago who said that, yes, it's usually from 8 to 4 or from 9 to 5, but during the concerts I have to be there, or sometimes things change, or now with the pandemic I had to work 3 times more. What is your normal day?
Well, I'm city officer, so at the moment I noticed immediately the first day when I came to Tampere that there's a huge difference working culture in the city organization and comparing to normal festival office. But there are,
In what way?
People are very strict about the time hours or how and when are working. And of course, the city organization wants to know also. And at the moment, I find it very good that you are aware when you are working and at what time you are finishing. And also this kind of distant work at homes make it also more difficult in a way, because very easily you overwork. You and festival workers, for example, they put all their heart with the work, and there's always something very interesting to be done. But very easily you get tired, very, very tired, and you are stressed. But if you want to run a marathon, if you want to work decades, so it's not possible in that way. And that's why I cherish a lot that idea of having specific working hours and amount of hours. And for our young workers who are coming to our office, I always say that it's very good to count your working hours, because it's not for me, it's for you, that you know that you are not working too much. And you have to have free time as well. And that by that you can continue and continue and continue working. But if you very easily, it goes very long hours, and that kind of you are proud of it, that you have been working long days. But after some times, then you get very sick. Naturally, festival days are different. We have 16 days, 16 hours days.
Yes.
And it's normal. And when you are with high heels all day long, so I'm paralyzed, have to say, on Sunday, and taking my jogging shoes already on. But it's a days full of adrenaline, positive adrenaline, because you have to be ready everything, and a very social life and meeting zillions of people all the time. But you have to enjoy it too. So naturally, these office days and festival days are completely different thing.
Actually, out of just curiosity, I would like to ask, what was the previous place you were working, and were you also a director there, or?
Well, I have been in Tampere city since 2004, when I was nominated as executive director of Tampere Music Festivals. Before this, I was in Musiikka Nova Helsinki Festival as producer. I was producer for Tapiola Choir, and I was piano teacher. I finished my studies in Helsinki Conservatory in '92. So since I was until 2004 as a piano teacher too, part-time. So, but my heart has been always in with live music. So in some scale, even in my studies, I was organizing concerts.
So you kind of gradually ended up taking bigger and bigger, let's say, scope of organizing.
Yeah, no, Helsinki Festival, when I was there as a producer, I found myself first time organizing concerts in, my first concerts were in Finlandia Hall with Esa-Pekka Salonen, Jukka-Pekka Saraste, Christopher Schambach, and Olli Mustonen. And that was my university of producing. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
A bit different than my first production concerts. Yeah.
Well, of course, I had done very small scale things, but that's I thought then when I started in January 2000, was it 2000? Yeah, I think, yeah, or 2001. So I thought that when I have done this all, I have learned learned a lot, and that was true. So you have to be just courageous and trust yourself.
Actually, isn't that kind of one of the most hard things in leading a festival? I mean, I have only experience in managing a small scale festival when I was the chair of Korvat Auki, and Matei has the same experience a few years earlier. And you know, all these little things changing, and then you need to be aware of really many things on the same time, and try to hold the pack together. So how do you deal with the stress? Or is it just that, like you told that, okay, this is my office hours, now I stop thinking, and how can you do it actually?
Well, I'm not stressing every day, and I'm very good relaxing too, and so on. But during festival time, you have to just concentrate, and it's super important to trust to other professionals. We have very good team, and well, of course, permanent workers of the festival office, but also producers who are part-time workers and staff who are coming part-time, technicians and so on. They know what they are doing. And the most important thing is discussion beforehand, during the festival and after the festival. Because when those professionals are coming together, they have always ideas how to create and make it better and better and better and better. And that they take the responsibility, the whole thing, not only from their side, their sector, but when they know what are the problems with others. So they start to think together, and by that everything goes better and better. So I am not alone. This is a teamwork, and I trust very much to our team workers, everybody. So I enjoy when I'm at the festival.
This is actually really nice to hear, because with the experience of being also on the just the doorman, so to say, on very many concerts. Actually, now when I come back and think of those situations, and working under various producers, actually the trust is a good word to describe when you have a feeling that, okay, I do my job and everything goes fine, and when you have a situation where you're just like, what could happen right now? Like, there are two different mindsets.
Yeah, and in festival work, you can't do it if you are not capable to live in that positive stress, enjoy of that little adrenaline, what is going on.
Sure, I completely agree.
And that's why probably many of our volunteer workers are coming year after year after year. But I wanted that they feel themselves important, that everybody who are selling the tickets is on a door, and they are persons who meet our audience, how you meet and so on. So it's very, very important. From those smaller and bigger things, everything is making as a festival. The festival comes from the, and we are everybody, we are working for that. Musicians have to have the best opportunity to play. And when the musicians feel good to play and they have everything well done with techniques, with everything, production, food, whatever, so then they play as their best performance was possible, and then the music is coming for the audience, and audience can enjoy, musicians can enjoy, and everybody in the staff can enjoy. And the whole core of the whole work of the whole year of the all decades, it's coming to that point when the music starts, and that's the main goal of the whole festival work, I find, the music.
Let's ask about how the artistic decisions are made, and what's your position in that process? Does it vary a lot depending on the type of festival? For example, because of different productional workflows in different genres of music. So how are the artistic decisions made at festivals?
Well, I choose the artistic directors, and with the Tampere Vocal Music Festival and Biennale, the artistic directors have a very big role of choosing the music, choosing the artists, and we are discussing. They are giving their proposals and their ideas, and then we are discussing. Normally they can be done, but sometimes have to be, if the actions are too big or something so on, have to be diminished probably, but not always. So it's very interesting. I have chosen this model for Vocal Music Festival and Biennale, that they are changing while a while, because in that way, Biennale, the contemporary music can be shown in different aspects. Everybody, artistic directors have different point of view, taste, and contemporary music, modern art music, its variety is very big of what you promote and show for the audience. And with Vocal Music Festival, which is changing every second year because it's quite big, and the programming, it's also new impacts. And with jazz happening, I wanted that Juha-Matti Kauppinen, who is the artistic director, is continuing, because how we are organizing the tours and everything, it's a discussion is different. And I also I've always liked very much his programming style, and finding new artists and finding new ways of approaching of the whole work. So it has been very, very interesting work. And I have not been artistically so involved with that. And I have taken my role, as I mentioned earlier, with this kind of international work there more, because I saw from the first day of my work when I came to here that Jazz Happening had so good programming in that time already, and it was ready for international eyes and ears to listen immediately.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, since you said that you choose the artistic, did I understand that right, that you choose the artistic directors?
Yeah,
so
personally.
Yeah, this is very interesting, because I've often wondered about this. I know from personal discussions with various composers or musicians who often complain, and I'm not talking about someone in specific, no, but you will always hear something like, oh, this artistic director only puts his friends, or this artistic director only likes that kind of music, or this artistic director only invites these bands that play that kind of music. Or does someone like you, who is in a position of choosing the artistic, what kind of criteria you have, or are you thinking like, now we need this kind of artistic director, and now we need this kind of?
Yes. And naturally, I discuss with colleagues, and normally always with Finnish Composers Union. I want to discuss with chairman, with and so on. Want to have ideas, also different possibilities, what are needed also. But we don't have, in our organization, we don't have any board, for example, because we are city organization, not association. So normally it would be a board and the executive director probably to choose artistic directors. But well, it's very tricky question always, and I'm thinking them very deeply, long time, and have to say that amount of female artistic directors, it's too small. So they have to be increasing in general scale all over in Finland and in globally, and so on. But also artistically, what kind of point of view, what kind of different aspects they are giving out. It's interesting. And also how they are in PR work is interesting, and how do they know the genre, what kind of interest do they have, in a larger scale, to know the music earlier on already, that what they are interested to present for the audience also.
But would for example, like, let's say, no, this is absolutely hypothetical situation. Let's say some artistic director is chosen, and that artistic director in some way or another doesn't deliver, or makes simply a bad job. Can you decide, like, let's change this person, or do we keep this person for 2 festivals?
Well, I have created now this system. How long time we have had it, like a Biennale, 2 festivals per person, and I have been very pleased of that. And the Tampere Music Festival every year. The reason for the changement has been this, as I mentioned, different aspects, different point of view, different tastes presenting that genre. Bad thing is probably that with international cooperation and bigger plans and so on, comparing to Viitasaari, for example, where artistic directors have been able to make bigger plans with different partners and so on. So it's also very valuable, a good thing, and we need to develop that too. But I don't know, I have been thinking also that we have done this quite a long time. When is the time to change? And everything is, well, in this life, everything is possible, that we can change the system. And I don't know, but until this far, this has worked very well, I find. And I have been very happy for all the choices what have been done.
Earlier on, you were describing that the artistic director will suggest something, and you will then consider if it makes sense in terms of budget and other kind of aspects, if it's realistic and so on. But in these considerations, are you discussing of let's say single works of music, or are you discussing more on the level of whether a certain concert or whether a certain event fits to the unity? How much are the specific programs of let's say inside of this concert, how much is that affected by the discussions between you and the artistic director, or how much is it for the ensembles who are coming to just suggest something?
If we talk with Biennale about Biennale, or with the artistic director and me, we discuss more or less about artists, and then what pieces will be played is discussed by the artists and the artistic director. And many artists are giving their ideas a lot, and sometimes artistic director is giving the input of certain pieces and so on. So it's kind of negotiation, naturally, that kind of artistic work to find the balance and so on. What I'm sometimes reminding of our artistic directors is that kind of age question, that I looking after, that all the composers are not the same age, white skin, male, plus 40 composers, for example. That I'd like to find a little bit older, younger, that kind of variety there, more and more. Because very easily artistic directors choose and remember the composers who are the same age than you yourself. And it's not only the friend question or nothing like that, but it's a question of knowledge and to remember. And which is new, which is everybody wants to present something new and recent. But anyway.
Yes, how to find something that is new and that is recent, but from composers whose background is more diverse and not only kind of the similar niche as from the artistic director. But
for example, composer like Erik Bergman, his music language was very, very modern. He was very, very old, and the audience has been ready for his music later on. Usko Meriläinen, who was the founder of the festival with the city. So I find that I'd like to have his music every festival in smaller or bigger scale, but anything, one piece from Usko Meriläinen. And it has been very, very interesting to find that nowadays, during this time, audience is ready for his music. But when Usko Meriläinen was composing his compositions, audience didn't understand, not so much at all. So, these are very interesting discussions artistically also.
Maybe Jenna has sometimes mentioned to you that we're both in this tasa-arvo-työryhmä in Suomen Säveltäjät, and one of my works was to count all the pieces performed in the last 5-7 editions of all the 3 important festivals, and I found exactly this kind of age stuff, like that there's people born within 12 years that are like 60% of the program. Actually, I found it very interesting at the Tampere Biennale. If you go to the search engine, you will see someone like Eri Bergman, for example. That's a good example. Or Kimo Hakola, someone who's like now older. You will see every festival, and then at some point it stops. Like as if they stopped existing, you know. So like they're not young and 40 and 50. Now they're like, okay, now it's our time.
And it's the same with musicians.
That could possibly
it's the same
be
with musicians, yeah, because we need to remember the musicians who are a little bit older, but what a fantastic capacity they have. And I just a few days ago was thinking the age scale of symphony orchestra concerts soloists, that how it has been changed in 10 years, thinking of the 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Nowadays, all the symphony orchestra concert soloists, all but a lot, young, beautiful, with ladies, young, beautiful girls, I say young ladies with beautiful gowns, dresses and so on. So I'm missing older soloists from symphony orchestra concerts, for example, and chamber music concerts and so on. So it's the variety of age is important, as important I find, than also the question of genders and so on. So this is the thing that everybody need to remember.
Indeed. I think it's very valuable that different generations hear each other's music and hear each other's performances and can interact this way. I think it's much more healthy situation than one where everybody's interacting only about people of their own age and similar backgrounds.
But it's the same thing in ordinary life. You are with your friends,
exactly.
and children are in the school or in the kindergarten and so on. And without your family, without your grandparents and so on, you wouldn't interact at all with elderly people.
That's
so
true.
The role of families is essential, and that's the same thing. I think we are more and more narrowed in our interaction, and
However,
even though without Corona too.
However, when you're organizing a festival, especially if it has very many pieces, this is a very general point. I'm not speaking about Tampere Biennale, but you can think that if you are there, you also represent Finnish music, for example, if it's happening in Finland. So you have a responsibility to represent as much as a broader picture of Finnish music as there can be. So restricting it to an age, for example, means you're narrowing the perspective the audience will also have.
Yeah, and with Tampere Biennale, I have to say, remember that we have been focused on Finnish contemporary music compared to Viitasaari and Musica Nova and others. So since the beginning, and it has been important to show it up. Naturally, we could do it more international, but I find our role in Finland, it has been to present a lot of Finnish contemporary modern music.
I guess we need to end very soon. I just want to say in the end that Minnakaisa, I'm really grateful that you took up these very important issues of diversity in terms of age and gender and so on, because what would the music life need is that we don't have only one picture of it, but we see the many sides of it, and festivals are perfect occasions of putting, let's say, some corners of the music life back into the light that may have otherwise been forgotten. Okay, but thank you everyone very much. This has been our discussion with Minnakaisa Kuivalainen in the KeyKulture podcast. I was Niilo Tarnanen, and I was co-hosting this show with Matei Gheorghiu.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye. Moi moi.